Let's talk about an explosive story in the world of cars. Volkswagen, a giant in the auto industry, found itself in deep trouble in 2015. This wasn't just a minor issue, it was a scandal that shook the company to its core. Why? They were caught cheating on emissions tests. Today, we dive into this gripping saga, unraveling how one of the world's most trusted car manufacturers navigated through its darkest hour. Join us on this journey of intrigue and innovation. A story that's not just about cars, but about the importance of ethics and honesty in the cutthroat world of global business. This is Volkswagen's roller coaster ride from scandal to redemption, a lesson in the power of resilience and the relentless pursuit of integrity. Part 1, the scandal. As the sun set on the once untarnished reputation of Volkswagen, the Dieselgate saga unfolded like a gripping screenplay, one that would captivate audiences far beyond the auto industry's inner circles. Imagine the scene. Volkswagen, a titan of German engineering revered for its precision and reliability, is now caught in a scandal as toxic as the emissions its cars secretly spewed. The twist that left jaws agape: they had clever software in their diesel engines that could cheat on emissions tests, known as a defeat device, which was a sophisticated software algorithm. The software was designed to detect when the vehicle was undergoing emissions testing. It could recognize specific patterns of operation typical of such tests, such as the position of the steering wheel, speed, the duration of the engine's operation, and the barometric pressure. It knew when the car was being tested and acted differently. On the test track, it was a paragon of environmental virtue, but once let loose on the open roads, these engines transformed, betraying their guise and churning out nitrogen oxides at levels up to 40 times over the legal limit. This wasn't just an environmental misdemeanor, it was a full-blown assault on clean air. In a twist worthy of a detective novel, the unraveling of this scandal didn't come from high-octane corporate espionage or an insider's guilty conscience. It emerged, unexpectedly, from the academic corridors of West Virginia University. Researchers there, likely as astonished as the rest of the world, uncovered the stark contrast between the VW diesel car's emissions in laboratory conditions and the unforgiving reality of the road. The EPA, spurred into action by this revelation, dealt a swift and heavy blow to Volkswagen with a notice of violation in September 2015. The aftermath was catastrophic for VW. It was a crisis that sent shockwaves, shaking the company to its core. The consequences came quickly and were harsh. Their good name was ruined, sales dropped, and they had to recall cars worldwide, causing major chaos. The financial impact was huge, costing VW about $14.7 billion in legal settlements in the US alone. The ripple effects were felt industry-wide, with diesel car sales taking a nosedive and emission testing processes coming under intense scrutiny. But the Dieselgate saga was more than a cautionary tale of corporate malfeasance. It ignited a global conversation about the responsibilities of corporations and the critical role of regulatory bodies in enforcing environmental standards. VW, now a symbol of corporate wrongdoing, found itself at the center of a storm of criticism. To redeem itself, the company overhauled its governance and compliance structures, establishing a new board committee dedicated to ensuring integrity and adherence to regulations. The repercussions of Dieselgate extended far beyond Volkswagen's boardrooms. It cast a long, dark shadow over the entire automotive industry, prompting regulators and consumers alike to demand greater transparency and accountability from car manufacturers. Like a row of dominoes, other industry behemoths, including Fiat Chrysler, Daimler, and Renault, were soon found to have their own emission skeletons in the closet. Dieselgate, in essence, served as a dramatic, jolting wake-up call to an industry often cloaked in secrecy and complacency. It's a saga that speaks of technological deceit, regulatory evasion, and an industry forced to confront its darkest practices and steer toward a cleaner, more transparent future. Part 2. Causes. As the Dieselgate scandal continued to unravel, Volkswagen AG, once a paragon of automotive excellence, found itself mired in a controversy with potentially epoch-defining consequences. This scandal was more than just a simple mistake. It was a risky tech move that went wrong, putting the future of diesel engines in question and darkening the company's history. Volkswagen's journey into infamy began with a zealous ambition to champion diesel as the go-to eco-friendly alternative. Yet, beneath this veneer of environmental stewardship lurked a darker reality, one brought to light by the discovery of the so-called defeat device software. This technological sleight of hand, both ingenious and nefarious, was designed to outwit emissions tests. In the controlled environment of testing facilities, Volkswagen's diesel vehicles masqueraded as paragons of eco-friendliness, dramatically reducing nitrogen oxide emissions to meet stringent standards. However, once the systems realized they were no longer under test conditions, the software pivoted, prioritizing performance and fuel economy over environmental integrity, embodying a betrayal of public trust. The financial repercussions for Volkswagen were monumental. In a staggering settlement with the U.S. government, the automaker agreed to pay $4.3 billion in civil and criminal penalties, reimburse car buyers of over $9.5 billion as a result of an FTC settlement, and also over $14.7 billion related to a settlement over cheating emissions tests. While the overall amount, including other minor fines, was over $33 billion, this paled in comparison to Volkswagen's 2017 global revenue of over $260 billion. The scandal's scope was breathtaking, with 11 million vehicles worldwide implicated, eroding the company's credibility and sparking intense debates about regulatory rigor and industry accountability. The human cost of this scandal was equally severe. Martin Winterkorn, the former CEO, faced charges of conspiracy and wire fraud, underscoring the depth of executive involvement. The legal system dealt swiftly with 2 engineers, sentencing them to prison terms of 84 and 40 months, respectively, for their roles in orchestrating this elaborate ruse. Yet perhaps the most profound impact of Dieselgate lies in its reshaping of the automotive landscape. People lost trust in diesel technology, which is clear from the big drop in diesel car sales. This shift has ignited a debate among industry experts about the long-term viability of diesel engines, especially as the automotive world pivots towards greener, more sustainable alternatives. Dieselgate, in essence, is not just a tale of corporate scandal. It's a narrative that questions the future of an entire industry, challenging us to rethink our relationship with technology, ethics, and the environment. Part 3. Impacts. Following the seismic revelations of Dieselgate, the automotive industry found itself in a narrative so gripping that it could rival the most thrilling of Hollywood blockbusters. The protagonist, or perhaps the antagonist in this tale, was none other than Volkswagen. The plot twist? A cunning deception involving illegal software cleverly concealed in diesel vehicles designed specifically to fool emissions tests. This bombshell discovery sent shockwaves, drawing collective gasps that echoed in boardrooms and living rooms alike. The fallout from Dieselgate was catastrophic for Volkswagen. The scandal didn't just dent the company's reputation, it cratered it, creating a chasm so deep that VW's stock prices and investor confidence plummeted with alarming speed. Imagine the dismay and disillusionment of customers and investors, fleeing from the brand as if it suddenly shifted gears in reverse. The backlash was so fierce, it was as if VW had suggested replacing airbags with balloons. Financially, the scandal was a head-on collision for Volkswagen. The costs were astronomical, soaring to an eye-watering $33 billion, encompassing fines, penalties, and an ambitious buyback program. To put it in perspective, it was like going to pay for a coffee and being slapped with a bill that could bankrupt a small country. In response, the stock market's reaction was swift and brutal. with VW's shares plunging in a vertiginous freefall, with the stock price dropping nearly 50% from April to September of 2015. The legal ramifications were akin to navigating a labyrinth of speed traps. High-ranking executives were ensnared in a web of charges, ranging from conspiracy to fabricating tales more befitting a fiction novel than a corporate boardroom. Beyond the staggering financial and legal consequences, the human cost of Dieselgate was alarming. According to the cerebral experts at MIT and Harvard, VW's emissions trickery was linked to approximately 60 premature deaths in the US, a figure that soared to about 1,200 in Europe. Astonishingly, the scandal was even tied to an increase in children's emergency room visits for asthma. Suddenly, Volkswagen's vehicles were not just modes of transportation, but inadvertent players in public health. In the aftermath of Dieselgate, the company's stock became as unpredictable as the plot of a daytime drama, leaving analysts and investors in a state of perpetual suspense. The Dieselgate saga served as a stark cautionary tale. It underscored the folly of circumventing emissions tests and highlighted the often murky waters of environmental claims in the automotive industry. As for Volkswagen, the road to redemption has been long and fraught, a journey marked by stringent emission tests and a relentless pursuit to regain lost trust. In this grand narrative of corporate misjudgment and its consequences, Dieselgate stands as a dramatic chapter, a stark reminder of the delicate balance between ambition and integrity. Part 4: Key Players. Continuing in the vein of a gripping corporate thriller, Volkswagen AG, a behemoth in the automotive world, was caught in the eye of a storm, a scandal that threatened to topple its mighty empire and sent shockwaves through the global auto industry. Volkswagen conceded to 3 grave charges. 1. Conspiracy to defraud the U.S. 2. Committing wire fraud. And 3. Violating the Clean Air Act. In an act of contrition, the company agreed to a record penalty of $4.3 billion. This figure, though only a minor portion of their overall financial hit, reflected the severity of their actions and the intense legal retribution that followed. The Volkswagen emissions scandal is more than a mere story of corporate wrongdoing. It represents a pivotal moment in automotive history. It has sparked a profound reflection on corporate ethics, environmental stewardship, and the role of regulatory bodies. As this saga continues to evolve, its ramifications on Volkswagen's legacy and the auto industry at large are profound, marking a critical juncture for one of the world's most recognized car manufacturers and a turning point that will be etched in the annals of corporate history. Part 5: Legal Actions. In the high-octane world of corporate drama, Volkswagen AG found itself thrust into the limelight, not as the hero, but as the embattled protagonist in a narrative of deception and intrigue that would rival any courtroom thriller. The Department of Justice, DOJ, assuming the role of the formidable antagonist, turned the spotlight on VW's emissions scandal. The charge: using cunning yet illicit defeat device software to outfox U.S. emission standards. This was no mere game of regulatory cat and mouse. It was a high-stakes showdown with the U.S. legal system. The story took a turn worthy of a cinematic climax when Volkswagen, cornered by evidence and public outcry, opted to plead guilty. The price of this admission was a staggering $4.3 billion in criminal and civil penalties, a sum that would make even the most affluent car enthusiasts' eyes water. Broken down, this included $2.8 billion for criminal penalties and $1.45 billion to settle environmental and customs-related claims. It was a financial blow that could make anyone balk. But the plot didn't end there. Volkswagen's financial woes deepened, with the company forking out an additional $14.7 billion in settlements. This hefty sum was earmarked for addressing false emissions claims and compensating disgruntled customers. The deal, reminiscent of a high-stakes negotiation, required VW to allocate up to $10 billion for buying back or modifying the infamous 2.0-liter diesel vehicles and compensating their owners. The settlement's cast included the U.S. Justice Department, the Federal Trade Commission, the state of California, and a legion of vehicle owners who felt betrayed by VW. This automotive drama wasn't confined to just a few models. It spanned popular diesel versions of the Beetle, Golf, Jetta, Passat, and Audi A3 from 2009 to 2015. With up to 490,000 owners involved, VW's offer to each was stark: a buyback or lease termination, or a modification to meet emissions standards, plus compensation for the diminished value of their vehicles. As the narrative unfolds, VW's criminal case sees them agreeing to a $2.8 billion penalty as part of their $4.3 billion total. Additionally, they were required to cooperate with ongoing investigations and appoint an independent corporate compliance monitor for 3 years, a corporate version of a stern guardian overseeing a wayward giant. This legal saga not only left an indelible mark on Volkswagen's financial war chest, but also mandated significant actions to mitigate environmental damage and compensate those impacted by the emissions debacle. Meanwhile, in a subplot reminiscent of a Silicon Valley scandal, the California Air Resources Board, CARB, exposed Volkswagen's emissions subterfuge involving nearly 600,000 diesel vehicles. VW's response was a settlement that included a $423 million contribution to an environmental mitigation trust and a further $800 million investment in zero-emission vehicle projects in California. The narrative here echoed a tale of penancy and rectification, with Volkswagen tasked with correcting its environmental missteps. In the criminal sphere, VW's confession to 3 felony counts translated into a hefty $2.8 billion in penalties, a sum befitting the gravity of their emissions deceit. The company also had to own up to obstructing justice and lying to maintain its ruse. California's share of the settlement pie was substantial, totaling $576.8 million earmarked for environmental repair and zero-emission technology investment. The Department of Justice ensured that Volkswagen's reckoning was severe. The $2.8 billion criminal penalty was one of the largest ever imposed for environmental crimes, a part of the broader $4.3 billion settlement that included civil penalties and customs fraud. This penalty was more of a banquet of consequences than a mere punitive snack. But the drama didn't end there. September 2019 saw a new chapter unfold with Volkswagen AG's top brass, CEO Herbert Diess, and Chairman Hans-Dieter Pötsch, facing charges of stock market manipulation in Germany. These charges were directly linked to Dieselgate. Prosecutors accused them of withholding critical information about the financial risks of the scandal to protect VW's share price. Concurrently, former CEO Martin Winterkorn found himself facing a myriad of charges in the United States and Germany, including wire fraud and conspiracy. June 2021 added another twist, with German prosecutors charging Winterkorn with providing false testimony during a parliamentary inquiry. The ongoing Dieselgate scandal has cost Volkswagen over 32 billion euros in legal costs and vehicle modifications. In a bid to resolve the criminal charges against Pötsch and Diess, Volkswagen agreed to a €9 million settlement. Further, proceedings against Pötsch and another former Volkswagen CEO, Matthias Müller, were discontinued by Stuttgart prosecutors in 2020. This complex legal web continues to ensnare Volkswagen, shaping its narrative as one of the world's leading car manufacturers embroiled in a scandal of unprecedented scale. Part 6. Global Effects. The year 2015 saw the automotive industry thrust into a narrative that could rival the most enthralling corporate thriller. Only this time, the plot was not fiction. Volkswagen, an emblem of German automotive reliability with its iconic Das Auto tagline, found itself at the center of a catastrophic public relations nightmare. The catalyst? A clever yet deceptive piece of software embedded in its diesel engines, designed to dupe emissions tests. This startling revelation sent shockwaves across the globe, slamming the brakes on VW's sales and tarnishing a reputation that had been burnished over decades. For Volkswagen, this episode was not merely a detour, it was a full-blown crisis. The company, which had been racing along the fast lane of automotive success, was forced into an abrupt and costly halt. Imagine a leading Formula One car dominating the race, only to veer off course unexpectedly. In vital markets like the United States, VW's sales plummeted with alarming velocity, dropping by over 20% in a stunning reversal of fortune. However, the fallout extended beyond Volkswagen's corporate borders. The entire diesel sector, once the darling of automotive efficiency, found itself under a cloud of suspicion. Automakers worldwide felt the aftershocks, anxiously checking their compliance as consumer confidence in diesel technology waned. The scandal's impact reverberated throughout the industry, casting a long shadow over emission standards and sending suppliers into a frenzy of damage control. The repercussions of this scandal were not confined to the auto industry alone. Its impact resonated across continents and governments. In Europe, where diesel had long been favored for its fuel efficiency, governments began reevaluating and tightening emission regulations. Meanwhile, in China, a critical market for VW, the scandal cast doubt on the company's commitment to environmental stewardship. The VW scandal unfolded as a potent reminder of the immense responsibilities shouldered by global corporations. It highlighted the critical importance of adhering to ethical standards and regulations, not merely for compliance but for sustaining the trust and loyalty of consumers worldwide. This saga, unfolding in the high-stakes arena of international business, served as a cautionary tale of what happens when a titan of industry loses sight of the values that should drive not just the engines of its cars, but the core of its ethos. Part 7. Lessons from the Volkswagen emissions scandal. As the dust settled on the Volkswagen emissions scandal, the automotive industry found itself at a critical juncture, forced to reckon with the profound implications of Volkswagen's transgressions. This scandal, more than just a corporate misstep, underscored the importance of ethics, transparency, and compliance. At the heart of this revelation was the decision to fabricate emissions test results, leading to grave environmental consequences and a severe dent in the company's reputation. The key takeaways from this scandal were multidimensional. 1. Environmental responsibility. The scandal casts a glaring spotlight on the environmental impact of corporate actions. It underscored the necessity for businesses, particularly in the automotive sector, to commit to genuine environmental stewardship and maintain transparency in their ecological practices. 2. Business integrity and reputation. Volkswagen's experience served as a stark reminder of the financial perils that come with ethical lapses. The plummeting of its stock price and the tarnishing of its reputation were testaments to the fact that integrity is not just a moral obligation, but a business imperative. It highlighted how damaging practices, veiled in the short-term pursuit of success, can lead to long-term detrimental consequences. 3. Regulatory adherence and legal compliance. The scandal propelled a comprehensive investigation, culminating in hefty fines and settlements for Volkswagen. This event showed how important it is for companies, especially car manufacturers, to truly care about the environment and be open about their environmental practices. In a bid to navigate past these turbulent waters, the automotive industry has since embarked on a path of redemption, championing transparency, honesty, and integrity. At the forefront of this transformation are dealership sales professionals and franchised car dealers. They are wholeheartedly embracing ethical practices in every facet of their operations, from pricing strategies to product disclosures, all to cultivate an atmosphere of trust with their customers and employees. Moreover, the industry is steadfast in ensuring compliance with a spectrum of regulations and standards encompassing safety, emissions, and fuel efficiency. This commitment is not just about avoiding future scandals, but is rooted in a desire to uphold a strong, trustworthy reputation. The Volkswagen emissions scandal, thus, serves as a pivotal chapter in the automotive industry's ongoing story, a chapter that teaches and warns, reminding industry players of the inextricable link between ethical conduct, environmental responsibility, and sustainable success. Intrigued by how Volkswagen went from scandal to trying to rebuild its reputation? Hit like and subscribe for more stories on corporate challenges and comebacks. Share your thoughts below on what business stories you want to hear next. Want more insights into business successes and failures? Check out these videos for more fascinating stories. Click and keep learning.